everybody, welcome back to my channel. Strawhat Deku here, and today I'm here with My Hero Academia Manga catch-up reviews for chapters 247 to 251. So the first chapter is chapter 247, Status Report, and the chapter begins with Endeavor asking both Kachan and Deku to tell him about themselves and basically what their goals are. Deku's being how to learn to control his power while retaining the freedom of his movement, even while he's at max performance. Deku wants to turn this new ability he's learned into a real weapon, so he's talking about Black Whip. He wants to be able to properly harness it rather than just give his little couple inches he's able to produce right now, but progress is progress. And then we get a nice panel, in my opinion, of Deku describing in great detail how he currently uses only 10 to 50% of his power safely, but one of his new moves called Air Force requires him to push it up to 20%, but the state it doesn't necessarily damage Deku, but it is painful enough to limit his movements. Deku has learned to boost his power for an instant before bringing it back down, and he wants to be able to apply this technique to Black Whip. And then Endeavor acknowledges Deku's suffering and calls him one of us, and it looks like Deku really takes that to heart. He looks, I don't know, they're very good at drawing him. He looks very pleased with that. Kachan's reason is much different. His reason is to figure out what he can't do, and he's learned that even though he has a strong quirk, that isn't always enough to make you the strongest guy around. So to surpass the number one, he's come to show that he wants to learn what he can't do. Next, we have Shoto saying that he came here of his own free will and to use Endeavor for his own reasons, so it's time to cut out the father-son stuff, and Endeavor realizes that this is his real reason for coming, is that he hasn't necessarily forgiven him, but he's able to look past what's happened just so he can try to himself become stronger as a hero. Endeavor starts explaining to our heroes that people come to heroes to for three basic things: rescue, evacuation, and battle. Endeavor's agency does all three. He says they're not picky. His advice for them is to know your home turf so you can notice the smallest disturbances. You also can get to the scene faster than anyone, and you can keep damage to a minimum. And if civilians get close, you blast off some heat to make them back off. So basically saying that if anybody gets too close, he can do some larger, hotter moves, and that'll actually kind of scare people off once they feel how intense the heat is. So he tells them to keep all that in mind while at the same time acting at top speed, and he needs to make these processes their MO. To get stronger UA, it's effort, but to get stronger in work studies, it's all about experience. Endeavor ends the chapter by challenging our heroes to just once beat him to a villain before he can get to them. So that's the end of that chapter. I like that chapter overall. I like them setting up the work studies. So for the next chapter, it's chapter 248, One Thing at a Time. It begins with Deku self-analyzing his late start to having a quirk while chasing a villain that Endeavor just beats them to. Todoroki makes an interesting observation on how Endeavor uses a condensed form of his heat / explosion ability that then drives himself forward at incredible speed. While Endeavor and our heroes race to the main street, Endeavor explains to Bakugo that excuses like it's harder in the winter, which is something he was saying earlier, won't cut it in the real world because this isn't school, and if you're too slow, it's lives on the line. And like he says this over a nice panel which shows him like literally stopping a truck that was about to crush into a bunch of people. So just I liked that the heavy meaning you got instantly by reading that right over that panel. I thought that was a very well done. I thought it was a very well done panel in the chapter. Endeavor then assigns both Bakugo and Shoto to learn how to build and release, essentially how to condense their power and then how to unleash it just for a moment at max output. Essentially, just to try to get them to be able to get his like quick speed in, because they need to get there quicker if they're going to be able to get to his level. And we get a great panel of our hero encyclopedia Deku, and he's pointing out to Kachan that it's essentially the same concept as his armor piercing shot, which is the shot he was developing back in the specials class, to which Kachan threatened to get a restraining order, which I thought was one of the better gags of this chapter. Endeavor explains to Deku that in order to properly get a grasp at doing multiple tasks subconsciously, he needs to focus solely on one of them at a time until they become second nature. He says that foundation's gotta be built on steady diligence. The chapter ends with Fuyumi, who's Shoto's sister, asking Endeavor to bring our three heroes over for dinner that day. So that sets up a nice awkward chapter coming up next with chapter 249, the hellish Todoroki family. So this chapter begins with Endeavor's Endeavor dreaming of his family eating happily, but he's not in the picture. And then we get Deku, Kachan, and Todoroki spend the rest of their work study with the flaming sidekickers. It shows them, it shows Burning noting that just how banged up our three heroes are. It shows like them all scratched up, and like Deku's gloves are all banged up. And it just shows how hard they've really been training. She's saying that, I guess I don't have to do anything to get you boys pumped up, because she can tell how they're really committed to this work study. And while stopping another no-name villain, Endeavor reminds her heroes that he wants them to be able to do all this while in their sleep. We are 1 week into work studies at this point, and then we cut to a scene of them arriving at the Todoroki house, and at Kachan's obvious disdain, they go into the house, and when they arrive there, they meet Fuyumi, and she's there already, and she's the one who's prepped the meal for the family. Everyone is at the dinner table. We have Natsu there, Deku analyzing how much he loves the food, and after an awkward exchange between both Natsu and Endeavor at the dinner table, Natsu leaves the dinner table saying, "I sat at the table, isn't that enough? Sorry sis, this is just too much." And then he leaves at that point. Shoto points out to Shota points out to Fuyumi while they're cleaning up the dinner. I thought this was pretty funny that Midoriya would have been sorry if he didn't help clean the table, and that he is taking his mother's feelings into account about the current situation, and that's why he's trying to help look past what's happened with his father and his family, but he finds it hard. Kachan breaks into the room yelling that they need to stop airing their family's dirty laundry to guests, and both Shoto and his sister both look pretty embarrassed by that. Deku has a wonderful panel, though, where he tells Todoroki that he thinks he's just getting himself ready to forgive Endeavor, because if he didn't, he would just say he hates him. But he believes that Todoroki himself is just such a caring person that it's like he's waiting. The chapter ends with a panel of Endeavor taking a meal to a shrine for his son named Toya. And we're going to find about him, obviously, right now in the next chapter, which we've already read. The next chapter is chapter 250, titled Ending. The chapter introduces a new villain whose name is Ending, who looked up to Endeavor ever since he saw him stop a thief named Takayami. But when Ending lost it about 7 years prior to this, he was captured by Endeavor himself. He believes it was his choice on how to close the curtain of his life, but Endeavor didn't give him that option because heroes don't kill people most of the time. He is seen watching Natsu leave the home at this point in the chapter, and then it cuts back to our heroes inside with Fuyumi, who's telling Deku and Kachan about their brother Toya, and that Natsu blames Endeavor for his death. Deku thanks Fuyumi for the meal, while Kachan demands the mapo tofu recipe that she made them, and Endeavor also thanks him himself, and he looks genuinely happy he looks content when he's getting into the car. Before Deku can get in the car, however, Fuyumi thanks him for being Shoto's friend, but Deku responds that the pleasure's all his. The group takes off in the car and starts to head back to UA. On the way back, the group's car is attacked by Ending, who you can see has Natsu as a hostage. Endeavor uses flash fire to get out of the car quickly and starts to confront Ending, who can remember who he is when he sees him. Ending tells Endeavor that he's going to kill Natsu, and that if he wants to do anything about it, then he's going to have to kill him this time, unlike he did last time. And that's the end of the chapter with a nice ominous facial panel from Ending, looking pretty insane at that point. The next chapter is chapter 251, and it's titled Just 1 Week. Ending calls the heroes weak for choosing not to kill him in the first place. And then just then is when our heroes start to join the battle, equipped with their hero suits, which Deku tosses to them after the chauffeur, I should say, throws the cases to him, and he passes them out to the rest of the heroes. Endeavor freezes for just 1 second, though, while he's rushing to save Natsu when they make eye contact, but it was just long enough for our heroes to speed by him to get there first. Todoroki is able to focus his fire to his feet and hand in order to propel himself forward at great speed, and honestly a beautifully drawn panel. Ending then tosses cars into the air to try to cause confusion with his quirk, and he starts shouting that more will die if they don't kill him. Next, we get Bakugo showing off his incredible speed when he propels himself forward and is able to grab Natsu out of Ending's grasp, and he's able to get him to safety. And while this happens, Deku's able to turn his attention to the cars that are now flying through the air. He focuses on doing both processes at once, saying that no one is dying, we won't let them. And then with what is easily one of the better last 2 pages, I thought these pages were amazing. We see Deku successfully using Black Whip to catch the cars in midair safely, and then he's able to, and he also lands pretty cool. I would say that I like that panel a lot. But Deku says the ending as he's landing that all his hopes won't come true, and as we see that, Todoroki lands a devastating looking blow and an amazing drawn panel. And in the last panel, it is a stunned looking Endeavor holding on to both Natsu and Bakugo. And I really like this chapter. I like that our heroes got there first. I like that we get to see all three of them have, as the chapter says, in 1 week accomplished their tasks they were given. Deku's able to save people using Black Whip, and both Kachan and Todoroki showed that they can use a condensed form of one of their quirk abilities to actually propel themselves forward at an incredible speed. This is a good little power up for them, and then after 1 week, that's a great amount of advancement. So yeah, that's it for the end of this short part of the review, and I'm going to do the next 5 chapters will be done in part 3, and that'll be coming out in a couple days. This is Strawhat Deku signing off. Stay safe, everybody. Hope to see you guys soon. Like, comment, subscribe, and don't forget to leave what you think in the bottom. Talk to you guys later.